Great. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We call the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, October the 27th, 2021 at 5:35 p.m. All present are staff, and Councilperson Jen is not here at the present time. May be joining us later. We do not know at this point. No one in the audience tonight, but if you have a discussion, that would be open business from the community on 1C. And we have a lot of third readings tonight, as you'll find out. First standard agenda item, approval of the October 13th, 2021 regular City Council meeting minutes. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. Clarifications needed? All in favor then of the approval of the October 13th, 2021 regular City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. We'll start with claims for payment for tonight. Start to my left with Rob with questions.
No questions.
John?
None, thank you.
Travis, any questions?
None, thank you.
Tim, any questions?
None. So moved.
Been a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then of the October 27th claims for payment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
It was passed 3 with 1 abstention. Jacob? Open business from the community. No one here to talk about anything with us, so we'll move on to the mayor's report. Please use care this Sunday, October the 31st, as families and children go trick-or-treating around the community. If you wish to have them stop at your home, please put on your outside lights for their safety. We wish the West Sioux football success as they play this Friday night in the second round of the playoffs. Please remember that if you are attending the game, that you get your ticket online prior to the game. Our thanks go to Maddie and Julie at the Hawarden Library for assisting people last week, Thursday, in getting their tickets online. As you may well know, Tuesday is Election Day. Please vote at the Hawarden Community Center for the elections of the City Council, West Sioux School Board, the Hawarden Regional Healthcare Board of Trustees. And this evening we welcome Carol to us as our Economic and Community Director. So thank you so much for being with us, and thanks for taking the position. We'll move on to staff reports, and we'll start with Jacob, please.
I actually got some fun stuff that we've been doing. We're kind of in the process of getting a new online front for our customers paying their utility bills. Yeah, we're in the very early stages of it, so it should be coming out hopefully by the first of the year. Be rolling it out to the public, maybe a little bit sooner. Not really sure on the time frame yet. We just started, and it looks pretty nice. You can see your consumption and stuff online and how much your bill is, and you can even pay it from there. So that's going to be coming out in the near future. Everything else is just going to be the same reports that I'm working on for next meeting.
Okay, thank you. I think that's very good for the consumers and citizens that they can. Everybody does things other than myself online, and so that'll be great. Travis, good evening. What's your report for tonight?
Rehab Systems, they were in town last week to clean our city sewer mains. Each year we clean out about a third of the city, plus a couple mains we do every year. This year was 10th Street and South, so everything went good. They didn't find any issues. The water department's been flushing water mains at various fire hydrants this week and hopefully finish up next week. November 8th, McGuire Iron will be back to do a washout and inspection of the ground storage tank. That's the storage tank up on the north side of town. This is part of our maintenance plan. We've hired J.R. Miller for wastewater meter reader. When Tim Erickson took over the cemetery, we didn't replace him right away. We thought we'd try this, and we've gone about a year. We just realized that the amount of time it takes to get someone certified in water and wastewater and all the extra duties they incur, we decided to go ahead and look for someone, and we've hired J.R. Miller. Local guy, has been here his whole life, so I think it'll be a good fit for us. And then lastly, I plan to bring up the columbarium, ossuarium at the next meeting. I have talked to 25 plus people, but want to reach out to a few more. all the comments so far have been positive, and I know Eric has a write-up in the paper this week, so that'll get more people that have heard about it at least, so I can reach out to a few more and get some more comments, so I'll bring it back to you next month.
Good, thanks, Travis, and we welcome JR to our city.
Yep.
As a member. And perhaps I hadn't noticed before, but we have a new doggy station at 16th and Falcon Drive. That's a nice addition for people that are walking on the trails with
Yeah,
their
the,
pets.
the Trails Committee purchased those and placed them. That'll just be on our garbage route, thinking we go around and empty the garbage cans once a week, so we'll just add that to our route and make sure there's bags in there and they're emptied, so,
Great, well, thanks to the Trail Committee for their work on that.
yeah, it's nice.
Okay. Hey, Mike.
The Rural Utilities Service has released a possible funding opportunity for broadband. Just came out today. I got a conference call with Dan Davis from Consortia tomorrow to see if we're eligible and if we're. It can be 100% loan. It could be a grant. It could be a match. There's just so many different things that they got to look at. So that's why I'm calling them tomorrow to find out if and how we'd fit into that. I know it's for rural areas. It's for underserved areas. It's for areas that have speeds less than 100 download, which we're over that, but also an upload of 20, which we can provide 10 upload. So just see what the chances are. I did check with Consortia today. They have written the grants. They said their fee for doing that would be somewhere in the $20,000 range because there's engineering and it takes them about 60 hours to do it. So we want to make sure we're a good fit before we'd even spend the money to find out if we could get it. But it's probably the best news we've had. It's one that at least maybe it's worth calling on and finding out, where the other ones were just, you just couldn't. Received notification from our health insurance carrier, Blue Cross Blue Shield, that we'll be receiving a 10.6% rate increase for 2022. This comes back to back with a 17% last year that we absorbed. So he is looking at alternatives. Last year they looked at alternatives and there were no good alternatives. So I'll bring back some different options for council at the next meeting. We'll have to look at everything from raising deductibles to if you don't want to absorb it. I don't think in the long term that we can absorb those forever. So we'll have to take a look at it. Historically, they've always been in the 2, 3, 4, and 5%. Well, last year was our first big one, and this one is less than last year's, but it's still something I think needs to be taken a look at. City administrator apps, we've gotten 5 so far. So, we have a few that are coming in. I have not seen anything on Indeed lately, so I don't know if they're coming, or obviously none from there. And then we need to decide on November and December council meetings if we want to go to one meeting like we have been. And it's usually the second week. If we go to one meeting in November and December, it may work out a little better staff-wise to move it 1 week farther down to the third Wednesday of the month. That way we can capture more of the month. But we'll be flexible on that. So council will just have to let me know what they want to do. That is it.
Yeah, I think flexibility would be good if we're in transition with where we're at with your position or anything like that, if we need to.
Have another one, yes. Yep. So if we stay on the second one and something comes up, or stay on the second and fourth Wednesdays and something comes up, we still have that fourth available. So that would definitely be a good option too, to keep that.
Yeah, I think so.
Keep it like that. So.
Thank you. Mr. Pickner, anything to say tonight?
Yes, I do.
We're sitting
Wow.
down, that's good.
Nobody fainted, right? I know a lot of you are aware that over the last 3 or 4 years, I have been trying to get someone to come and join me in the practice with the idea of getting out of the practice. I haven't been successful in that, and so I started cutting back the things that I'm doing over the last several years. I haven't chosen a time that I'm actually going to completely close the practice, but I am trying to cut it down. I'm trying to avoid things where I have to make any kind of a commitment to be someplace on a certain day. And as part of that, I don't want to continue the representation of the city. I would plan on ending it, if not before, I would plan on ending it on June 30. But at the end of any month that you guys can find another attorney and they're willing to take it, that would be my last day as city attorney. But if July 1 is the end, so, and I would hope that maybe you'd find somebody a little earlier. If they have their own way of doing things, they probably won't need to talk to me much except history. But if they don't, I'm more than happy to assist them and provide and share documents, at no charge to the city. So, enjoyed being here. Getting older, the wife's getting older, and I just don't want to be tied down to prosecuting a dog at large ticket or something when I'd rather be, not picking on you, when I'd rather be somewhere else. And so I don't want meeting dates, I don't want unexpected things, so I'm just going to really cut the practice back. So that's all I have, other than if you want me to address item number 1, I had the wrong block in the legal description. So, thank you.
Well, thank you, and we will obviously give our more larger thank yous at the end of your time with us, but you've been very valuable in my time in this position to our city. Recommendations from you and how one pursues. I know Mike and I talked a little bit about, and obviously it's up to the council if we start to send out letters to area attorney offices and find an interest point from someone. And
Yeah, I think Mike had shared with me like a request for proposals, and I guess that'd be a good way to start.
Okay.
Find out what interest there is. We don't have an overabundance of attorneys right now in the area that want to practice in this area. I think they've even had some pretty poor turnout the last time they were asking for candidates for a judge. So, I don't know. I would just say you should probably start it.
I can, the letter I shared with Jim, just to get his opinion on, because obviously he's an attorney and I'm not. But we could send that out to the area law firms that are licensed in Iowa, just to gauge an interest, kind of throw a wide net, and then if we get some interest, then council can interview the interested applicants, and also on that request for proposals would be, what their fee would be, of course. It's not going to be all about the fee, but it's going to have to be about the representation as well. We've been represented very well over a lot of years at a rate I don't think we're going to find again. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was all I had to say, Your Honor.
okay, thank you. Corey.
All right. Getting ready for trunk or treat coming up here Sunday. We're hoping the weather holds off and is nice, and I think we can anticipate about 450 little gremlins running around, and we always get a kick out of that. So we'll be in the parking lot participating in that. Also talked to Mike a little bit about drafting a letter for wintertime parking, kind of go through that again with everybody, maybe get it out on Facebook and through the media and other outlets. And with that, doing just a little write-up on garbage toters and where to keep them and how to keep them off the street, and have accessibility for the truck to come by and actually pick them up, because we've had some issue where people are illegally parking, but it's where they happen to put their toter, and then the garbage truck goes by, can't pick it up, and you have upset people. So we're just gonna kind of touch base on that as well. So that'll be what's coming out next from our department.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Carol.
Hi,
Welcome to the table, so to speak.
thank you very much.
What would you like to say in your first report?
Well, I'm very excited to get started, and I've had a good few days getting my name out there and meeting with some people and the organizations around the state that work in economic development. I've met with a few of those people via the telephone, so I'm just excited to get going.
Great, thank you. And as you'll find out, Northwest Iowa is bustling with wonderful economic development directors that really work together to promote all of Northwest Iowa. So,
The area people have been wonderful. They, matter of fact, reached out right away and extended an invitation to a meeting, and they've been very nice.
good, and you'll find our city staff to be very helpful with you, too.
They are the best.
Good, thanks for being with us. That moves us to, if I can read it, 2C, council comments. Anything from council tonight?
Do we have a deadline as to when the RFP would be back? Have we discussed that at all?
We can make it whenever you want. I don't know if you guys want to give it 30 days, if you want to, I don't know what's a fair amount of time for an attorney or a law firm.
Jim, what's a fair amount of time?
I would probably give them maybe 45 days this time of year.
Because you get into some holidays and those types of things. If they take Thanksgiving, that might be a week out,
Well,
perhaps. And
Year-end stuff gets,
Year-end stuff.
a lot of closings and things that people schedule to year-end, so give them a little time.
If you get into the first of the year, though, then you start getting into tax season, and
Let's
they're not very busy then.
There's not that many attorneys doing taxes anymore.
Isn't there?
Really. I mean, not kind of,
No.
And are we just doing Sioux County for now, or?
I can go, I thought I would try, go a little farther, maybe in the Lamar's area, just to see the interest. And, I mean, if there's a ton of interest, we can narrow down then by, you can narrow it down by geography, by, because obviously the farther they got to drive, the more, it'll be so we'll have to look at all that.
do you like to direct staff to put that letter out? And
Yeah. And I'd be okay with 30 days.
Rob, John, Tim, that all right?
It's fair.
Well, we can get it out by the end of the week.
And whatever came of the Iowa Public Information Board complaint?
That complaint was dismissed in September. First of all, it wasn't within the scope of their practice. Secondly, they examined all of our meetings and all of our minutes, and there were no violations within that, and so it was dismissed.
So it was basically false.
It was dismissed.
Okay.
Thank you, and there again, I think that's important for everybody to know that through our attempts, we make everything, we tape everything, we upload everything, it's all out there. There are some communities that might not have it all out there, perhaps like we do, but it's all
Correct, yeah.
accessible.
We sent the attorneys, and they sent it in, all of our minutes, all of our agendas, everything that we've done, our closed session stuff, and they found no violations.
And I think that's something we've always taken pride in, and Jim has taken very seriously, and not being willing to even tote the line on whether it's okay or not. It's a black and white issue.
Exactly. Anything else from council?
Does the online utility portal allow residents to go paperless, or? what is the law?
Absolutely. In fact, when they sign up for it, its default will be paperless billing with the email address that you use to sign up for it. However, there is still a tab that you can select to continue to receive a paper bill for those that would like to still sign up and see it online, but still want a paper copy. So
Is that through the same company you currently use?
it is through our software company that we have right now, so it's going to be pretty easy to transition between the two.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to other agenda items. Agenda item number 3, Resolution 2021-43, proposing to vacate alley and dispose of real property. Publish a notice of public hearing adjacent to Chris Woodley property, 1516 Avenue F. Just an overview, please.
Yeah, we had this all done and approved, and then when it came to file the legal description, we found out that it was it lot 32 versus lot 39?
Had the wrong block.
Oh, wrong
He didn't
block.
want to go 2 blocks to mow that alley.
Yeah, and they probably didn't want him to buy that alley next to them. He would really like the one next to his. So he's been informed. He's okay. We had no hurry. It just, yeah.
Is there a motion for Resolution 2021-43?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Tim, seconded by Rob. Roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2021-43.
Kurth. Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2021-43 passes. All the third readings ordinance, next ordinances are the third readings. As we did last week, we're just going to give an overview of each one quickly and move through them since this is the third and final reading. And we have no one in attendance to ask about those. So agenda item number 4, third reading of ordinance 731, amending the code of ordinance for a definition of a dangerous animal.
Basically, courts have ruled that you can't blanket a breed-specific animal as a dangerous animal. We have pit bulls that are listed in our ordinance, so we got to remove that. It's going to be based on the behavior of the animal, not the breed.
Okay. Is
So
there a
moved.
motion by Travis? Is there a second? Seconded by Tim. Roll call vote for third reading of ordinance 731.
Olson.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Kurth. Clucky.
Aye.
Third and final reading of 731 passes. Third reading of ordinance 732 pertaining to elections.
This basically says if you want to run for office, for a city office, you will now need 25 signatures instead of 10.
Motion for that?
So moved.
Moved by Tim, a second.
Second.
Seconded by John. Roll call vote for third reading ordinance 732.
Clucky.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, third reading ordinance 732 passes. Agenda item number 6, third reading of ordinance 733 pertaining to failure to assist.
This will make it illegal or a crime for somebody to fail to assist someone who needs an ambulance or police, as long as it's safe for them to do so.
So moved.
Moves by Travis, a second.
Second.
Seconded by John. Roll call vote for ordinance 733.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
That passes 4-0, the third reading. Next is the third reading of ordinance 734 pertaining to interference with official acts.
This adds medical examiners and firefighters to the list of professions that it's a criminal act to interfere with while they're lawfully doing their jobs.
Makes sense. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Rob, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. Roll call for third reading of ordinance 734.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
4-0 roll call vote, that passes. Third reading of ordinance 735 pertaining to peddlers, solicitors, and transient merchants.
This basically says we can't charge a person under the age of 18 who is a peddler's fee, who is operating a business that's traditionally operated by a person under 18, a lemonade stand. We can't charge somebody to set up a lemonade stand in their yard.
So moved.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. We'll get our lemonade at the Olson House. Roll call vote, please, for ordinance 735.
Kurth.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
4-0 roll call vote, third reading of that passes also. Third reading of ordinance 736 pertaining to public disorder.
This changes one of the definitions that's listed under disorderly conduct. I believe it's yelling or in a loud or raucous voice.
That's all right with the police officers? Okay, loud and raucous. Is there a motion for that reading?
So moved.
Moved by John, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Roll call vote for 736.
Clucky,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
That ordinance, third reading passes 4-0. Third reading of ordinance 737, this is pertaining to abandoned vehicles.
This just changes one of the procedures for disposing of an abandoned vehicle and allowing a time and procedure for somebody to reclaim that vehicle if they choose to do so.
Hopefully they do it quickly. Is there a motion for 737?
So moved.
Moved by Tim, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. Roll call vote for third reading of ordinance 737.
Clucky,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Kurth,
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
That roll call vote passes also 4-0. Lastly, with ordinances in this regard for the Code of Ordinances, number 738, pertaining to alcoholic beverage control.
Right now, Sunday sales, the bar has to close at 10. This makes it so that they can stay open until 2 a.m.
That'll be helpful to some if this passes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by John, seconded by Tim. We'll see you there at midnight at third reading, and roll call vote then for 738.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Kurth.
Aye.
Okay, thank you for your work with all of those that get our ordinances updated. Agenda item number 12 is important to our community. This is a second reading of ordinance 739, as we had a water rate survey done, and we had the first reading last meeting. Travis is going to give us a little bit of an update of where this would bring us.
It would raise the current rate for meter charge to $12.20 with a usage fee of $2.73. It says a 15% rate increase. Well, that's the overall increase of your bill. And I went ahead and did a comparison. I updated it from the 2020 study, and this shows what it was in 2019, what our current level is, $25.12. And this is for residential with 600 cubic feet of usage in a month. Our proposed, it would raise it to $28.58. And you can see compared to communities around us, we're still pretty low. And we don't take these rate increases lightly, but they're needed. Prices of chemicals and pipe and, everything just goes up, and you can't maintain your system by keeping the rates too low. So, the next slide. This shows a average month based on a usage residential. So the increase, can you go down just a little bit more? So the proposed, that was just 600. If you go to 8 or 9 CF, 100, because we're based on 100 CF, you'll see what the increases are there. It's 14.4%, $34 a month if you use 8.
So the more you use, the more your percentage will go up. So, it still does take into consideration conserving water. So obviously, the more you conserve, the less your bill will go up. But If you do the 600, you're looking at a 13.5% increase. If you do 800, you're looking at a 14.4% increase.
And when we did this water study, we talked about putting, for those folks that might water their lawns, to put in a second meter, which is helpful for them. That's just designated to that. That would help to keep their costs down.
Well, it keeps keeps them from paying a sewer charge on water that's not going down the sewer.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and we still encourage that. We've had many put in this summer.
Okay.
And
So moved.
Yeah.
Anything
I
else?
was just going to include that we have changed that to one spigot on the outside. Some people use a garden hose for one spigot, water their garden, water their lawn. They don't have an expensive underground system, and we have allowed that to go to one outside spigot as well.
Okay. There's been a motion by Travis for the second reading of ordinance 739 in regards to amending the water rates. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Any other clarifications needed? The third reading will be at our next meeting. A roll call vote then, please, for the second reading of ordinance 739.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Kurth,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Clucky. Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, second reading of ordinance 739 passes. And as we have done in the past, trying to make every business entity of our city self-sufficient. Agenda item number 13. This would be a public hearing on the proposed changes to the Hawarden zoning ordinance. First reading ordinance 740, an ordinance amending zoning ordinances of the city, amending the subsections 165.01 parent 3, 165.10 parent 3, increasing maximum lot coverages in R1 and 2, sections 165.17, additional area and heights and regulations, and section 165.27, special exemption procedures. Do you wish to give an overview before I open the public hearing?
Yeah, we've been running into a lot of issues over the years of issuing building permits. Right now, I believe our zoning permits are pretty tight, where we've had to tell people, well, you can't build because, you know, your 40% lot size is not right, or you can't build because it doesn't meet the aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood, or you can't build because, you know, even though it's next door, it's a separate lot, it's not all one lot. So we met with the planning and we met with the board planning and zoning, and kind of recommended some things, and they thought it sounded like sense, where if we loosen some of those restrictions, it can now then go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment for their review, and they can approve it. It won't be anything that we can just automatically approve, but it'll be able to go to another board, where right now some of those things are prohibited from even going to them on.
Okay, I'm going to, at this point, open the public hearing, the proposed changes to the Hawarden zoning ordinance. Anyone on council or staff wish to make comments? Mike, have you heard anything to the city in regards to this for the public hearing?
I have not.
Okay. Close the public hearing, which then moves us to 13B, the first reading of ordinance 740. Is there a motion for that ordinance?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by John. Roll call vote, please, for the first reading of ordinance 740.
Kurth,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Clucky. Aye.
First reading of ordinance 740 passes. Second reading will be at our next dated communication. Agenda item number 14, discussion and adoption of the 2021 City of Hawarden Personnel and Policy Manual. Mike and I talked a little bit, kind of cleaning things up, making things maybe perhaps a little bit better for our staff members long-term. Give us an overview of that if you would, Mike.
You know, for a couple of years, we've been looking at different things in our personnel manual that were outdated, no longer valid, things like that. And we've been slowly going through the personnel manual and making some of those changes. A lot of it's just cleaning up language. One of the things was out of payroll deductions, union dues was listed. Well, the state does not allow us to do union dues anymore, so you take that out. Some of it was part-time accrual of part-time help accruing vacation and that, but we really have no permanent part-time employees, so we took some of that out. And, there was probably two major changes we looked at, and one was right now our policy manual restricts that all employees live in city limits unless you hire them and they live somewhere else. Well, we have two of our city employees that live outside of town, or what we call outside of city limits. And then we have, of course, our three employees that live outside of city limits. Tracy lives in Ireton, and we've had, over the years, employees come up to us, or employees we've interviewed, that want to live on an acreage, that would like to live outside of town, and, to a lot of people, that's a big thing for them. And for us to say, well, either you live in town or you don't work here, is something that we've been finding, especially with employee crunch, that employees would rather have their freedoms than they would come and working for the city. So we would like to open that up to a 10-mile radius with the conditions that snowstorms, flooding, things like that are not excuses to miss work. We'll give you that opportunity, but the responsibility is that you are here. So we need you to plow snow. Obviously, it's during a snowstorm. And, if you can't get here, well, we don't have people plowing snow. So with those restrictions. The other one we looked at is sick leave. We've had a lot of employees come up to us and say, there's really no incentive for me not to use my sick leave. I've accrued the maximum. My monthly accruement is, I'm losing it. And the good employees don't use it unless they're really sick. On the other hand, you will get an employee that, that's a benefit to me. You guys give me that benefit of 8 hours a month. If I'm sick, it's no big deal, or if, I want to use a sick day. So we looked at other cities, and there's a lot of other cities that are doing a payout of a small portion of that sick leave upon retirement. A couple of the restrictions that are very common is it is a certain percentage if they're really retiring. And the way they gauge the bona fide retirement is if they're going to draw their IPERS. Some of them have it specified in there that a bona fide retirement by drawing the IPERS. So, it's something that we put up for discussion. The employees had to have at least 25 years of continuous work with the city. So they had to be a long-term employee. So with that, that's kind of what we're looking at, or what we proposed, but.
Council?
Why do you have to be retired if you terminate? Does it really matter that much?
That was just some of the rules that they've put in.
I'm just saying, is there a reason for that? I don't.
Well, I think what they were looking at more is if Travis works here, between his lineman and his public works career, he's got 25 years in, and he decides to go work for another city in the same spot. They didn't consider that, leaving public service. But to me,
he still earned it, right?
Right.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
if he didn't use it and he earned it,
Yep.
that doesn't really seem that we should say, well, you can't do that, you can
Right.
do this. But
Yep.
But if he went and worked for another city, he's already knocked out because it's not a bona fide retirement.
Correct. But I'm just using some of the language other cities put in.
I don't see the point. I think
Yeah.
if you earn it, you earn it. So I don't, it shouldn't be
Yep.
dependent on where you go. If you're going, and
Yep,
you still earned it.
yep. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's a little point that
Sure.
I don't see it being that, trying to say we gotta keep the people till they're really retiring,
Till they're worn out.
beyond.
How many people would actually qualify or fit into that profile of 25 years and
We've got some long-term employees, but we've also had some retirements over the last few years. Right now, probably got, one?
5 or 6 that are
Do
close.
we? Yeah. Including the police department, I suppose,
Yeah, I think it helps promote people to be at work and, if they're not taking every month off for a sick leave day or whatever, it helps promote people, being here and doing well, and so I don't see it as a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
So then Tim's comments, you earn it, you earn it. Does it need to be retirement, or if you've done 25, it's sufficient, or what do you think the change should be with that?
What do they accrue a month again?
8 hours. Up until you have a maximum of 960, and then it just stops getting added to.
Do you wanna keep it stopped, or do you wanna
Oh, I
make
think,
it open-ended then?
I think
No,
it's
I think I
risky.
would leave it where it is. That's almost 6 months of sick leave. Most people, it's sitting there for short-term disability. And over the years, I think, with this, there comes a certain amount of liability for the city as well, because as that accrues, and if you have it open-ended, or,
I'm just wondering, when you get to 900, then do people get sick more often then?
um,
To make sure
No.
they-
No.
I haven't seen that.
Kind of the ones that use sick leave before the 960, And in all reality, we don't have a lot of employees that abuse the sick leave. We've got good employees here. We have employees that have dedicated their lives to what they're doing, and we really do. We have good employees. So it's what some other cities have told me is they use it for, employee retention and kind of a reward system for when you get to that point.
I'm okay dropping the 25 because it's going to take 10 years to get to 960 anyways. So, and that's if they never take a sick day.
Yeah, you'll have some guys reach it in 15, 18 years, and then they go the whole rest of the time, and they're bouncing right at that 960. So they're essentially losing some that whole rest of the time.
But if they've devoted 10 years to the city and haven't used a sick day, I think that's earned.
Is that all right with council?
Yeah.
they're getting paid the sick days anyways, if they take them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a $7,000 exposure, so it's not
Sure.
crazy high.
Okay, and then how
We don't
about,
have 10 people a year retiring. That's,
Right.
let's just do that.
and how about
So
the
we're-
city limit, 10-mile?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So
Makes
we're
sense.
leaving retirement in, or we're taking retirement out?
Oh,
Taking the retirement part out, okay? Got that. Or are we leaving in 25 years of continuous service or taking
No.
that out?
That's out,
Oh,
in my opinion.
So there's no minimum?
Well, it
I
would
think
take
a
10
certain
years.
minimum.
I would think you'd have a certain
you-
minimum in
Yeah, I
there.
think you'd want a certain minimum just to,
Because you're getting paid out regardless at 25%.
So you don't have to hit the maximum to get paid out.
no,
Oh.
if I have 25 years in and I got 300 hours of vacation,
Or sick.
or sick, you look at the 25% of whatever's left.
Yeah.
So in a year, you could get 2 days paid out essentially at the end of the
Sure.
year.
Yeah.
3.
If putting a dollar amount on it helps, at full 960, at $20 an hour, so that's pretty low. That is, just gross pay, 19,200. That's not including the taxes that you have to pay on it, and so if you take that times .25,
That's the 5,000.
that's when you get to the 4,800. And then you're still paying taxes on that, so it's still gonna cost the city more than 4,800
Right.
for that maxed out one.
Yeah, I'd like to have some sort of minimum.
So I think if you left it open-ended, it would, the liability would be very high.
And if we're looking at retention, then, you know, you want to put some date on there,
Yeah.
some years of service.
Right.
Be nice to have at least 10 years minimum on some of that, I think.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
25%, no retirement.
Yep, got it. Okay. Then we'll be updating that. Of course, we got the marked up copies and getting that back out to the employees for them to sign that they've got, understand the new one.
10-mile radius is fine.
And we came up with the edge of city limit? Or center town, or what, how was that?
To city limits.
City limits. So
Yep.
from the city limit, 10 miles, most direct route.
are you saying a real 10 miles, or, I mean, is it about, I mean, because that's kind of, if you had an acreage
crow
that
flies.
was 10
Well,
miles,
yeah,
0.5.
I mean, you know,
yeah.
So what's Ireton?
thinking recommended 10 miles or something. like that.
Recommended 10 miles. I think if we got to that 15 miles, we would probably have to take a look at, you know, that's the problem with putting any of
Yeah, you have to
the,
put-
any of the thing is, well, geez, this one's only 10 and a half miles. So, I think that would have to be a decision that's made by their supervisor or Travis. But you know, it doesn't have to be a hard and fast line. It just,
Yeah.
it's
If
a
they're
great
qualified and
guide.
dedicated, you'd want them to be a
Yes.
part of our team.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking, I never had sick leave. I mean, we drove 40 miles some days. I mean, it's like wherever you had to commute, you commute.
Yep.
It's not like, I don't know. It's icy or snowing and leave early, you know.
Any other discussion with the personnel and policy manual? Staff has enough direction with that? Okay. Agenda item number 15, discussion on telecom.
You know, not a whole lot to discuss on here. We did order the new amps. In talking to Long Lines and talking to Ron and talking to we had a conference call with their techs this week. They're all, you know, that's the first step you got to do is upgrade our amps. Our amps are really kind of antiquated. Kind of our whole system is. And talking to their techs yesterday, I mean, it's just outdated. It's running. Ron keeps things running, but it's just old technology. So we're gonna have to continue on that. We're hoping to, in the next 3 to 6 months, moving our analog system to a digital format. You know, they said that if we're ever going to get more upload speed and more bandwidth, that's the only way we're going to get it. So do that, and then, you know, in 6 months or more, you know, looking at upgrading to DOCSIS 3.1, that will enable us to offer up to a gig download and 50 meg upload. So it's still on our coax system. It's not necessarily fiber, but, you know, unless we can figure something else with a grant or something, that's kind of the way we're looking. Long Lines is still looking at upgrading their billing software. Talked to them last week, and our cost is going to be a little over $21,000 for that. And then our billing, right now we pay them about $1,800 a month for our billing. We outsource that to them. It'll come down to about $1,650, so it'll come down a little bit, but the software we're running now hasn't been updated for several years, and it's the one that all their municipalities in there on as well. And in order for them to continue with our billing, we're going to have to go through the upgrade. The elephant in the room, as I said for some time, you know, we're losing money on programming costs for cable. We did some rate projections for 2022 because all of our rates go up, and January 1st, or 90% of them go up January 1st. And we'll be losing somewhere in the neighborhood of $22.35 a month per sub in our cable. That's up from $18 this year. The next year it'll be up another $5 to $6. So I think if we move our cable to the digital format, roll out a new digital format, along with some of the pricing increase at that time, so people are getting something for their, as they're paying more and more, maybe we can retain some of our customer base on that. So that would be my recommendation of what we do is we look at, after the first of the year, moving our analog to digital and then increasing our price at that point. Whether the price goes up all at once or whether we do it on a tiered system, you know, that's going to be up to council is what they want to do. And then I just wanted to clarify something. There was an article in the paper about backdoor hiring and things like that. We haven't even advertised for a tech. These were just, when we talked about that at the last meeting, these were things that as we talked with Ron and we talked with Long Lines on, are things we got to look at. We will have to at some point, but it's nothing we've even advertised at this point for, so. So that's just kind of the rundown. I don't think we really need to make any big decisions at this point on telecom. It's just laying it out there as far as what we're looking at what it's going to cost us to do the upgrades. Maybe this phone call I have tomorrow, maybe we'll be eligible for something like that. I mean, hopefully we can. Yeah, in the meantime, we're just going to kind of go through and do what we need to do to start our upgrades with the system. We'll use some of the reserves for what we can and see what we're going to need in the future.
What's the lead time on the amps?
I believe they had some in stock. See, originally when we looked at the amps, we were talking about 55 amps. Well, then somebody discovered we have 97 amps, and so we had to order more. But from what I understand, They had them in stock. That's what was imperative about ordering, because once their stock was gone, then you're going to wait. So,
So we got them all from stock.
yes.
Hopes for this year, or what's the?
Well, they're, first we got to get the amps in, which, they're ordered, and then they've all got to be changed out. There was some discussion with Long Lines in their text yesterday on our pads and how easy they're going to be to change out because they're a different dimension, and so we are waiting on a quote to have some people come in and help us change those out. There's just, it's a bigger job. I don't understand it, but I'm told it's a bigger job than just going in and pulling one out and plugging a new one in, so.
Very good.
Obviously imperative to keep good communication with Long Lines in there.
Yes. Yep, and I haven't heard anything back on any contract drafts or anything yet with them either, so.
That starts with them.
Yes, yep.
Any other discussion from council or staff with telecom? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 16, approval of the farm lease for 2022-24 calendar year. Give us an overview of maybe where this is at, just so the citizens understand.
We have some farm ground up around the cemetery and then south in the industrial park that we rent out. Currently, our current rent on that is $287 an acre. Per year, it's about 68 acres. The gentleman that had it has been renting it for quite some time. We've had some requests to rebid that. So we've terminated that lease and rebid that. With that, we've had 4 bidders, and they ranged anywhere from the low bid of $307 to the high bid of $461. So we've Colin Hoops is the high bidder on that. So it's a 3-year cumulative lease. So at the end of that 3 years, we will gain $94,000 on the lease to that. So I did talk to Colin today. He's still interested. So at this point, I'd recommend offering the 3-year farm lease to Colin Hoops at $461 an acre.
That does have stipulations as far as what they can grow, correct?
It does. They can't put their own fertilizer or manure on there because we use it for hauling our sludge. There's nothing as far as corn or beans or anything like that on
Okay.
there.
So moved.
It's been a motion by Travis to offer a 3-year lease to Colin Hoops at $461 per acre. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of that motion and second, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It passes 4-0. Agenda item number 17, approval of the 5-year solid waste contract with Orange City Sanitation. Again, we had talked about that when we transitioned into all of this with them. So if you want to give an overview again, please, Mike.
Right, when we transitioned to the toters, Orange City Sanitation is the one that purchased all the toters. And then it cost each resident $1 per toter per month. And they said it would take them 5 years to recoup their costs, and then they would look at a replacement cycle on those. So he did ask for a 5-year contract at that time. He would keep his price the same for the first 3 years of that 5, and then in year 4 and 5 he would do a $1 increase total, not per year, $1 increase for year 4 and 5. Everything else pretty much stayed the same with it as far as the fuel surcharge, and as I watch fuel go up, we're getting close to that fuel surcharge. So, but it's in there for a reason. So, at this point, I've had Brad look at it from Orange City Sanitation. He did call me today, said he's a little bit nervous about going into a 5-year contract, especially with the way things are going up, but he is still willing to do that, so.
Council?
So moved.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. This would be to approve a 5-year solid waste contract with Orange City Sanitation. Any further clarification? All in favor then of the approval of the 5-year solid waste contract with Orange City Sanitation, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It passes 4-0. And as we know, in the past number of years we've worked with them, Brad and his staff are very helpful to our community. We have 2 consent agenda items from Brian Engelman, Hawarden Golf Club, for November 6th and for Saturday, November 13th. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That passes 4-0. Our regular stated meeting next will be November the 10th at 5:30 right here. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rob. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Those opposed, Hayward City Council is adjourned. Thank you so much.
CK Shrimp.
Yeah, so it's
461.
See you, Tim. Have a good night.